Brett, at Evergreen, you had the security of being sure there was no actual evidence of your racism. What if there is racism in your past to be found? A 26-year-old who was a troubled 16-year-old would appreciate your advice. Such an amazing question.
Yeah, that's a great question. It's awkward now because if you come clean about this in some way, then there's always the question of whether you're doing it cynically. But on the other hand, everybody understands that youth involves stupidity of many different kinds, right?
Everybody used to understand that.
Everybody used to understand it. You're now being persecuted for failures that, frankly, everybody has in their past. And so there's not a great answer to the question. I think in some sense you're depending on people recognizing that they don't want to be judged based on what they were doing at 16 either. And to the extent that you are upfront about, I'm not comfortable looking at myself at 16, I'm not comfortable with what I see. And here's, in your case, the racial stuff that I no longer feel or believe. And maybe I didn't believe it then. Maybe I was motivated to say it for other reasons. You thought you were going to be cool or something like that. But, look, forgiveness and tolerance, these are essential values. And I will say we had a very good friend in grad school, one of the people we were closest with, who had experimented in high school with some of this, white supremacist stuff.
I'm not sure I know this.
You do. You've just forgotten it because it's so out of character with the wonderful person that we spent all the time with.
Wow. Okay.
So anyway, the point was, it was some kid doing stupid stuff. And, we never once thought about holding this against this person because it just obviously was not consistent with their values. And, we have to have the ability to let people grow up.
And we've written this in the childhood chapter of our book. This is part of this. This is not something I've heard elsewhere, but this is part of the reason that the screens and the social media are so dangerous, is that it memorializes forever all of the mistakes of youth. And youth and development are exactly the time when you're supposed to be exploring. And if you don't make any mistakes, then you're not going to become a very interesting or competent adult. So, obviously, actually playing around with racist ideas is a greater kind of error than a lot of people engage with, but everyone makes some kinds of errors, and some people make much graver errors than that, depending on what exactly your personal history of racism might have looked like. And used to be that not just the courts, but society could recognize that forgiveness was actually the way to a more robust populace, rather than holding people accountable for every single thing that they've ever done. But something about this, this goes back to our being so visually dominant as primates, that once you've seen it either in video or even in text, it's very, very hard to forget. And the fact that social media just is persistent, that we're being shown evidence of everything from, police brutality to some kids, exploration that wasn't socially okay, but it was a kid's exploration from a long time ago, is causing people to glitch out and forget that actually we're supposed to be able to try to understand and forgive and heal. And we're moving away from all of those things.
Yeah. I guess I would say three final things. One, check out Helen Pluckrose's tweet thread from last week, in which she describes her own path to becoming the highly insightful, courageous adult that she is. Anyway, it's absolutely extraordinary. Second thing I would say is check out Majid Nawaz, friend of ours, and his path from being a Muslim.
He was an Islamic extremist,
He was an Islamic extremist, and he realized the error of his ways, and he is spending his adult years trying to make the world a better place, including a recent, very successful hunger strike in defense of the Uyghur in China. which forced the British Parliament to debate the matter. I don't know how it's come out, but anyway, it's quite an extraordinary thing. And I would also say there's a lot to be said for finding people that you had these prejudices against and who are willing to see you for who you are and, correcting any residual prejudice and being candid about where you were. I think you might find it cathartic.